Good afternoon, everybody. This is Richard Moore. This is a special edition of American Investigator on Richard Moore in Depth. I hope everybody is off to a great start with their week. This past weekend was the Kentucky Derby, the 152nd running of that famous race. I'm always a fan. A horse by the name of Golden Tempo was the winner. The first female trainer to win a Kentucky Derby as well in that race. The Kentucky Derby always reminds me of a story. And I'd like to pass it along. I'd like to pass it along not just to the entire audience, though I think it's relevant to everyone, but especially to our young people, those who might be graduating from college or graduating from high school or just beginning the trek up the career ladder, the work ladder. There's always a need for an inspiring message, particularly in these bereft times in the United States of America. Not too long ago, I was having a conversation with a young man who was lamenting with me the fact that America doesn't have any heroes anymore. Now, I don't know the reason why he came to that conclusion, but the more I began to think about it, I began to realize that he was right. We don't seem to have any heroes in the United States anymore. And whatever the reason he had come to that conclusion, he was truly sad about it. No political heroes, he protested. They're all about money and personal power and narcissistic grandeur. No sports heroes, he grumbled. They're all about money and branding. No entertainment heroes. The real ones are all in rehab, or even the fictional figures are mostly studies in darkness. No heroes in journalism either, he added, kind of matter-of-factly. They're all bought and paid for by the corporate media, or they're merely agents of a particular propaganda, clickbait they sensationalize for the sake of clicks. I was hoping that the conversation wouldn't turn personal at that point, given that I am a journalist. But I also corrected him that what he was saying wasn't completely accurate. True enough, it's slim pickings out there in hero land these days, but it's not like there aren't any at all, even in sports. Well, what about the great Aaron Judge of the New York Yankees? Or what about Caitlin Clark, who has risen to such stardom and lifted women's basketball to great heights of popularity? Out of the sports world, what about J.K. Rowling? Many people don't know it, but she was rejected 12 times, was in clinical depression, and was fighting clinical depression and in near homelessness before she became a writer of such renown and a personality of such renown. So it wasn't completely right what he was saying. You have to give her credit for fortitude and perseverance and desire. Still, he had a point. If you look around, you have to search far and wide to find a good role model in modern America. It's not only a personal dilemma, it's a serious issue in this country, in a country needing to hope and dream again. For heroes are critical to that mission. Society cannot long stand without a canopy of heroes above its head. History teaches us this. Heroes are awe-inspiring, larger-than-life beings who attain immortality. Really, the only way immortality can be attained by acting courageously in the name of an altruistic cause. That's the very definition of the compassionate hero. They lead us to dwellings in which we do not live. They force us to see how others endure, how they think and feel, and sometimes suffer. They teach us to ease the pain of our neighbors. Heroes teach us that compassion can be rewarding and successful, and they show us it is necessary. A nation of people who lack such empathy, who cannot feel the despair of others, well, such a population soon turns one against the other, and civility and social order begin to deteriorate and crumble. And so it's not surprising to me that the decline in the number of America's heroes is accompanied by an inversely proportionate increase in the number of slash and burn and just simply mean politicians and celebrities, and in turn, a very real increase in and significant increase in the number of violent Americans and others in our population. The professor Gregory Foster once observed, "We are all followers at heart. While we praise and preach leadership," he wrote, "we practice followership. We constantly seek people beyond ourselves to lead us," he argued, "because it is better that we, quote, relinquish ourselves to someone worthy of adulation and veneration than to the many charlatans and demagogues who prey on us," end quote. What's more, young people need older people whom they can look up to. It triggers the desire to learn. Heroes transfer not just upstanding character, but great knowledge and skill. They show us how to surpass others by trying to better ourselves, to literally race against ourselves. So yes, we need heroes, and not just in times of great duress, but in times of peace and prosperity, if any of us can remember times of peace and prosperity. People choose heroes in times when they can find them because they personify that culture's social ethic. And I might add, they help strengthen and reinforce that ethic. They endow a culture with the fibrous integrity it needs to survive over long periods of time. All of which is a long way of asking, begging the question, where are our heroes today? Why are they hiding from us? What I should have said to that young man, mourning as he was for a nation that is lost to a dream, what I should have said in a place that is dangerously close to becoming bereft of all heroes, was that heroes can be made today, and it only takes looking within. America used to be one of those places. It used to not be one of these dreary days of zero expectations. We had heroes. In the 1960s, when I was young, the mountaintops were bursting with heroes of different color and sex and nationality. They towered there on the peaks above us, fearlessly rousing us to new accomplishments, which in turn led us to dream ever greater dreams. There were political heroes. Bobby Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. were mine. There were baseball heroes, Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, and all the mythic and mighty New York Yankees. There were entertainment heroes, Marilyn Monroe. Well, that's another story for another day. The point is, there was a long line leading from the mountaintop, a concatenation of strong and stirring people that a young boy or girl might look to for guidance in pursuit of the American dream. Back then, for sure, even animals could be heroes. One of mine was a horse, truth be told. The great Triple Crown winner of 1973, Secretariat, and I can't think of a greater week in the week after the Kentucky Derby to tell the story of Secretariat and how I now answer everyone who asks me about heroes. Because Secretariat was a hero to emulate. I know what many people are thinking. You're going to tell me to emulate a horse? And I'm going to say precisely so. Secretariat was certainly a hero, a horse of a different color, and I'm not the only one to believe it. When ESPN released its list of the 100 greatest athletes of the 20th century, it had but 3 non-humans on it, Secretariat leading the way. And when ESPN released its list of the 100 greatest sports performances of the 20th century, Secretariat's win at the Belmont Stakes to cement the Triple Crown was on the list at number 2, second only to Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point basketball performance, this time Secretariat being the only non-human on the list and coming in number 2, second to only Wilt Chamberlain. When Secretariat came along in 1973, horse racing itself was like America today. Without a Triple Crown winner in 25 years, the sport was bereft of heroes. The country itself was in a deep funk. We were exhausted by war and scandal and inflation. Our heroes were pretty much gone, defeated and dead, shot in the head. But there was Secretariat, and there was something about him that captured the fancy of the nation right away. The horse, fondly nicknamed Big Red, had all the hero's traits. He was intelligent and empathetic, with a keen awareness of where he was and who was at his side. He showed a generous love for people, and he was gentle with children, with a distinct and teasing sense of humor. And he had courage, the heart we hear so much about in a racehorse. As it turned out, all that character, all that heart, well, that was just the beginning. Then he started to run. And soon enough, the nation was running with him. There was the Kentucky Derby, where Secretariat came out of the post dead last in a field of 14. So much for the hype, you had to start to wonder. But Big Red had different ideas. On that day, no horse or anything at all would outdo him. And so he began to run 10th place, and run 6th place, and run 2nd place, and run 1st place, and victory and a new Kentucky Derby and world record for the time. He did it again in the Preakness Stakes. By now the nation was abuzz. People had something to cheer for. Young children began to name their pets Secretariat. All that was left between Big Red and immortality was the Belmont Stakes. It would be, for those who saw it, as I did, an unforgettable and unbelievable moment in life. Secretariat came out the gate battling with Sham, the one horse that had given him any challenge at all that year. But Big Red was running strong. He would not be had, and by the beginning of the backstretch, Sham gave up. Secretariat was now alone. The rest of the field faded. But Secretariat kept running. By now, the jockey Ron Turcotte wasn't telling his horse to run. He was just trying, as he said later, to keep in the saddle as the lead lengthened, and the horse seemingly soared with heaven-sent energy, now to an incredible 20-length lead, and that was just halfway through the race. Secretariat, though, didn't relax. Secretariat didn't look at the crowd. He didn't hear their cheers. Secretariat just kept running and running. The horse now was racing against himself. The others didn't matter. The crowd didn't matter. The jockey didn't matter. He was running into history. He was running to surpass himself. He crossed the finish line 31 lengths ahead of the second-place horse, the length of a football field. Secretariat had run the fastest mile and a half ever recorded by a horse, by over 2 seconds, and it's still the fastest today. I was dumbstruck, moved, and overwhelmed, and I was not the only one so mesmerized. He appeared on the cover of Time magazine, the headline blaring "Super Horse." And here's a portion of a sermon by Unitarian Reverend Elizabeth Lerner in 2003, recalling that race. "Perhaps," she said, "I would have been even more moved if I had been there on the site. But while I was a little girl sitting in the living room, as indoors and suburban as one can get, even there I saw nature in the form of a horse explode in beauty and strength and almost infinite capacity across a black and white screen. Some things are so beautiful and riveting, they fill you with wild joy and delight, almost to the brink of fear. They may seem almost proofs of divinity. However you liked him winning, he was a hero, courageous, true, and beautiful in 1973 to a country that was reeling with domestic and international turmoil, Watergate, and Vietnam." How well said, Ms. Lerner. Yes, Secretariat was a national hero, and he gave us a richness of insight that here and now, amid our poverty of heroes, I want to share with everyone. These days, we're going to need heroes who become so not by following others, but by racing against themselves, not running for themselves, but against themselves the big red way. There's simply no one else to race in this world, people. At least not with integrity. You got to race against yourself. In so doing, all of us, all of our children, all of you, can not only surpass others, but give others moments of memory they can share and cherish and use as inspiration to run their own races against themselves. Secretariat died when he was 19. His obituary appeared in newspapers around the world. In death, he was given an honor rarely accorded to a racehorse, to be buried whole rather than just the heart, head, and hooves. He had a big heart, literally and figuratively, and I can hear its booming beats thundering down the racetrack with his message for the ages. I hope everyone hears it. I hope all the young people out there hear it, all of us, young and old. For now is a time for heroes. Just run. There aren't any heroes out there you have to beat. Just set your goals and run toward them. Run hard and don't stop. Pass everybody by. Don't let your guard down. Don't let them catch you. Don't let the crowd of onlookers and detractors distract you or intimidate you. Just run. And when you're alone, realize there's more competition, the competition inside yourself. Just run. Run and never stop running. And you just might find there's still a place for heroes in the hearts of a nation. You just might run yourself into history. I'm going to post a video of the Belmont Stakes of 1973 for all those who are interested. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Richard Moore.